Right off the bat, I just wanted to ask about your hat, first of all, Puerto Rico, and
Yes.
the donation you made today.
Yes. Well, this hat, represents Team Puerto Rico. My daughter played on their Pan American team, and when the Pan Am Games were in Puerto Rico, and I just thought it'd be fitting. I did make a donation. Rick Elias is raising funds. His goal is to reach 10 million. He's the owner of Red Ventures, and he is a, you go to his website and they'll direct you to it. And so I donated to it. Or you could also donate to the Red Cross by texting Maria to 90999. And again, we know it's very dire there, and it would be tremendous to have the support of the people here. Thank you.
How's your family doing there?
Family's doing well. My father has talked with most of them, and everybody's accounted for. And as I said, whatever we can do to help out, I think that would be be greatly appreciated.
When you say the situation is dire, is it because food and water?
Yes, food and water and electricity right now. Those that don't have generators, are really struggling up there, obviously, and then getting fresh water, and food obviously is the other concern. And then fuel, for the generators and stuff like that.
I'm sure you've had a chance to either watch or peruse the comments that Cam made yesterday in speaking to us for nearly 20 minutes. As he grows older and becomes more of an adult in these types of situations, what have you seen from him as he has started to explore these social issues?
Well, I think, if anything, this talks about the maturation process that he has gone as a young man, and knowing his responsibility, his social responsibility, and I think what he's doing is he's trying to handle it in a very good way. I know he has ideas in terms of things that can be done to help, find solutions more so than anything else, which I think is probably the most important thing. And that's probably one of the things he's trying to get across, is that, it's time now to start trying to find that solution. But as I said, I don't want to get into this. I just want to make that quick comment on that, because I do think he's done a great job in handling himself yesterday, and I thought there were some very poignant points that he made that are important. But having said that, if we can, I'd like to get to New England.
Kelvin, back in practice.
Yes, Kelvin was out in practice, did a nice job moving around. For the most part, he participated completely and looked good out there, really did.
He's okay for Sunday?
Yes, unless he has some sort of setback. I mean, we always check, after a guy has an injury, how he comes back and how he handles the morning in terms of his treatments. If there's anything that pops up, I don't know if you noticed, but Deshaun Hall popped up on it. He woke up, came in this morning with a pretty banged up knee, so for whatever reason. So obviously he couldn't practice.
You mentioned Kevon Seymour yesterday. How is he looking? I know he's guy has been around about a month now.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. The biggest thing about Kevon is he coming from Buffalo, and a lot of things that they do there is crossover with us. So his his getting acclimated to what we do has been a lot shorter than some of the other guys that we've brought in recently, and he's done a nice job handling it. Looked good today in practice as well.
The angle on the catch/hit knee bending that Kelvin suffered last week, it looked like it could have been a lot worse than
Yes.
It seems like it actually was.
And that's the big thing we were very fortunate with. The MRI was negative, and it's funny because one thing that Ryan Vermillion thought was, wow, you had a non-contact injury a couple of years ago, and then here you are in a contact injury, getting bent over, and you were fortunate enough to have nothing. As far as that was concerned in terms of structural damage. So again, he's very fortunate. He really worked hard on Monday and Tuesday to try and get as much swelling out. Wednesday was a kind of get back on your feet and move around a little bit. But today he really moved pretty well. So we feel very fortunate for Kelvin.
Ron, Luke mentioned this afternoon that he may have gotten away with one against Gronk a couple years ago. Gronk is. When you, as a linebacker, see a guy like Gronk, I mean, what is the first thought that comes to your mind in trying to slow a guy like him down?
Well, first of all, you got to get in front of him and make him move around you as opposed to through you or you getting out of his way. But a guy like that is got so much ability and so many tools to use that you really have got to be technically perfect, and maybe even at times you do have to be a little overzealous to be able to cover a guy like that with his types of ability. I mean, he really is one of the elite pass catchers in this league as far as tight ends are concerned.
It's a couple years down the road. Did Luke get away with one?
Yeah, it was. Like I said, it's time to move on.
Ron, you obviously spent a lot of money to bring in Matt Khalil at left tackle. Right now he's tied for the league with sacks allowed through 3 games. Is that a concern for you, and how do you feel like he's playing?
I think he's done a pretty decent job. I think there's been some things that you can pin on him and him learning and growing within the system, and some that you can pin on us as to what else goes on in the game. But again, we're going to continue to work hard and keep developing and growing, and I think things will work themselves out. I really do. I think he's working. He's doing the things that he needs to, and again, we'll see how it goes.
Is there sorry if I interrupted. Is there like a learning curve for offensive linemen switching teams as much as maybe say quarterback or receiver? I mean,
there's a learning curve for anybody who switches teams, and it's not just about what you do in terms of the X's and O's, but who you're playing with. It's having a feel and understanding of how a guy drops. How deep is his 5-step drop compared to what you're used to? How deep is your 7-step? Getting used to a guy that is very patient in the pocket and will hold the ball and then drive it. So I think he's learning those things and getting part of it now. But pretty soon we're going to run out of time. So, the learning curve has to be now.
Is it beneficial? But how beneficial is Ryan in that, helping Matt along and maybe learning some of those things to kind of speed up that process?
Well, I think, again, all he has to do is ask, and I know those two constantly talk, so, he's learning. But, again, as I said, we need that learning curve to be now.
And Ryan missing time, is that
Well, it's been tough. It's been tough for the whole line, not just Matt, but, all the other guys that he's working with. I think that's a big part of it as well. So, when you look at what we do offensively, it puts a lot of pressure on the left tackle. He doesn't get a lot of help. And, as he settles in and gets comfortable, I think we're going to be fine.
Kurt said today in the locker room that a lot of times when he personally was going over and watching his cut-ups and the defensive cut-ups, that he felt that they, especially the secondary and linebackers, were in a position to make a play on a ball for a takeaway perhaps several times throughout the game but did not execute. Is that something you saw as well?
Well, there are some that I felt, we had some opportunities. And really it's taking a chance. I thought a couple times, and I know a couple right in front of us on our sideline, it's a matter of taking the angle, as opposed to being safe, working behind the guy as opposed to learning and having that comfort level of being able to cut underneath and make the play. I think that's probably some of the things that he saw. I know some of it as far as the safeties are concerned is, he is basically the last line. And again, there's a certain comfort or a certain confidence level that you have or you need to have. And if we're playing well, I think you have that. If you're struggling a little bit, you're down in a game, I think sometimes the tendency is to be safe.
Coach, what do you make of New England's defense?
I think their defense is in position where they're learning and growing with each other. They've got a good group of secondary players. I think that those guys are guys that have come in and have tried to fit in and assimilate to what they do. They've got some young guys at linebacker that they're getting used to playing in their system, and they've got some guys up front that are getting opportunities. It's just a matter of time. I mean, it's early. It's only the 3rd game of the season.
And you talked about yesterday kind of wanting to act and let's do some things. There are 2 different issues, I know, but your move today kind of hoping might spur some stuff from some of the guys in your room in terms of making a difference.
Well, again, as I said earlier, I just think now is the time. I mean, whatever those guys decide to do, whatever they want to do, they'll do. They need to understand that, we as an organization are going to support them. You guys have heard the owner say that. And so, again, it's just a matter of time before they decide what needs to be done. But I do think now is the time to act. And I can imagine they've probably talked about some things.
Anything else?
All right.
Tom Davis,
No, we'll see you tomorrow. He was out there today, went through the walkthrough. He was out there yesterday, in fact, and went through the walkthrough stuff and the installation stuff. He just didn't practice. Did the same thing today, came out, had some gear on, did some initial stuff, and then he went in and, before practice started. But he was out there doing the initial stuff.
I think with his history, people, and maybe some of us just kind of come to expect he's indestructible, but is this one of those cases where you just can't risk kind of long-term?
As far as Thomas is concerned? Well, we'll see how he is tomorrow. I mean, knowing Thomas, he expects to be out there. I mean, he was out there today, like I said, during installation and walkthrough, trying to get his stuff down. And then when practice was getting ready to start, he went in.
Is it easier for a guy like him and a defensive player to step and play on a game day versus a Cam that's not practicing?
Well, I think the position calls for that. Just really depends on what the position is. I think there are very few quarterbacks that can go in there and not practice all week and then step up and play well, as opposed to guys that are position players. I think a linebacker is one of those positions that, depending on which one you play, Sam, Mike, or Will, you could end up being that guy that, hey, you can miss a couple days and come back out and play well. And a veteran guy as well should be able to.
Has Ryan Khalil made any progress?
Yes, he just continues to do the things that the trainers have him doing, and just feels better and better each day. But this is one of those things that we're gonna be smart about it. Again, this is a guy coming off of a shoulder as well, so we're just trying to be smart, and we'll listen to what the trainers and doctors say.
Did you advise him to invest in a new mattress?
No, I think it's one of those things that he's just got to get comfortable. He'll be fine. All right, thank you.